Hey, yo, my boy, you know what time it is?
It's about 2:10 right now in the morning, bro. You should definitely go to sleep. You got school tomorrow.
Nah,
I
I don't think I will. It is scary time. Today we have 3 true 7-Eleven horror stories animated. I ain't gonna lie, if the crackheads at 7-Eleven do not scare you guys already, then these stories will. Let's get straight into it.
I've been driving trucks for 15 years. You get used to the weird gas stations at 3 a.m., lot lizards, addicts wandering the parking lots. But what happened at that 7-Eleven last month still keeps me up at night. I was on hour 20 of what should have been a 14-hour haul, popping caffeine pills, blasting metal, slapping myself, anything to stay awake.
You should
My
not be
bladder
driving.
was about to explode when I spotted this 7-Eleven store, standing like this sad little beacon in the middle of nowhere. The parking lot had just one car, a rusted-out Civic plastered with stickers about government mind control.
That's dirty.
Perfect. Exactly what I needed at 3:17 a.m., some tweaker working the register. The bell chimed as I walked in. Behind the counter stood this
Whoa.
rail-thin dude.
Yo, if I seen that, I would have walked immediately right out, bro. That man is not normal.
Maybe mid-20s, staring at his phone. He didn't look up, just stood there with this know-it-all smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Bathroom?" I asked. He pointed to the back, still fixated
Yeah,
on
look at
his
his
screen.
eyes.
His fingers looked wrong somehow.
Ugh.
Too long, joints bending at angles that made my stomach turn. The nails were chewed raw, and dried blood had caked around the cuticles. I chalked it up to exhaustion and
Yo,
headed
that's
toward
a
the restroom.
dirty bathroom.
The floor was sticky, making that sick peeling
Nah,
sound with
you
each
definitely
step.
know what they was doing in
The
that
whole place
bathroom.
reeked of burnt coffee and bleach, and something rotten. Inside the bathroom, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, one of them flickering like a strobe. 2 stalls, one urinal crusted
Yo, don't
with
tell me he's
God
about to
knows
take a
what.
dump in the
I locked
bathroom.
myself in the first one,
Nah,
my knees practically
nah.
touching the door.
Hover over it. He
I
needs
was
to.
getting down with my business.
Oh, can we
when
be
I
sure
heard
that?
slow breathing. It was coming from the next stall over, not normal breathing. This wet, rasping sound like someone drowning from the inside out. "Sorry, man," I mumbled, embarrassed someone was listening to me piss. No answer, just that breathing. For a second, everything went quiet. "Hello?" I called out. The breathing has stopped. The silence that followed was worse. I finished quickly and stepped out,
Pull them pants
ready to
back,
get the hell
boy.
out of there. The faucet was dripping, each drop hitting the stained porcelain with a rhythmic ping that seemed to get louder. I turned the tap to splash some water on my face. The mirror in front of me faced all the stalls behind.
Nah.
As I leaned forward,
Yo, the
I
hand
caught
is right
something in the
there.
reflection. Movement
Nah.
to the right beside mine. From where I heard the breathing few seconds back.
My boy,
In the
run.
reflection, I could see fingers, impossibly long, gray-white fingers, curling around the edge of the stall door. I froze, watching as a figure began to emerge in the reflection. The cashier,
Oh, yeah,
but
nah.
he looked total psycho
Nah.
this time. His eyes wide, shoulders hunched at an impossible
That man is
angle.
tweaking out.
His smile looked 10 times more sinister, and he was drooling like some mad dog about to snap. I hurriedly lunged for the door. It wouldn't budge.
Gang, run
the handle
faster.
turned, but a force seemed to block it. The lights flickered once, twice, then died completely.
Oh,
Suffocating
nah.
darkness took over. The smell of rotten
My man
meat
about to
just
get.
kept choking the air
My
around.
man about to get handled by Diddy.
Man, I'm feeling dizzy.
Spread them cheeks, lil bro.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
It was right against my ear. A cold finger grazed my nape. No
Yeah,
one
he's gonna
stops
get
here
notified.
anymore. I had to do something fun. A phone screen lit up, illuminating his face inches
Fight
from
back,
mine.
bro.
His
Do
eyes were
some.
dark, pupils so dilated they looked like black holes sucking in all the light. I slammed my elbow back, connecting with something solid. He grunted, but he didn't release me. His fingers dug into my shoulders with
Damn,
impossible
bro.
strength. "Don't leave," he whined like a baby.
Bro,
"I'm so lonely."
punch him and go.
In panic, I grabbed the metal trash can and swung it at his head. It
Thank
connected
you.
with a sickening crack. He staggered back, releasing me. I turned the handle harder, but the door wouldn't budge. He was still behind me. I could hear the wet, skittering noise. I peeped over my shoulder to see the cashier crawling toward me on all fours, moving impossibly fast.
Yeah,
His
never
head
mind,
hung
boy,
at
it's
an
over.
unnatural
He's
angle
dying.
where I'd hit him, but that smile never faltered. "Lonely," I'm so lonely. I've nobody to call my
Yeah, nah,
own.
bro. Run.
He
Get the
sang,
hell out.
making
Get
a
out.
sad face. I threw my full weight against the door, increasing the strength with each try, until finally it gave way. I sprinted through the 7-Eleven store like some prey dodging the predator. The
bad. You
cashier's
forgot the
giggles
snacks, the
following
food.
me all the way until it turned to screams of rage. He was cursing me to come back, but I didn't look back, just ran to my truck. As I fumbled with my keys, I glanced back. He stood in the doorway, perfectly still except for his head, which tilted sideways at an angle that should have snapped a human's neck. The fluorescent light above him flickered, casting his elongated shadow across the parking lot. He raised one hand and spread his fingers, too many fingers, in a wave. "Do come again!" he yelled, like it was some casual night of fun for him. I was lucky that the roads were mostly empty that night, otherwise I definitely would have met with accident. A week later after this incident, I saw news coverage on a local media channel. They're talking about a man who worked at a 7-Eleven store. Many customers kept complaining about the bad stench in the bathroom at the 7-Eleven for days, when finally cops had to intervene. They found dead animal carcasses stuffed in the vents and storage spaces. Upon questioning, they arrested the employee who worked there. It was the same guy from that night. When the cops asked him why he killed stray animals and kept their dead bodies inside the store, he replied he didn't like being alone.
We're never going to a 7-Eleven at night. But that was the end of story 1. Let's get straight to story 2.
Working the night shift at 7-Eleven was never something I listed on my bucket list, but money talks, and lordy did I need it. My coworker Mia had cautioned me about all the weirdos who come out at night.
Just keep pepper spray in your pocket.
Sure. Are you sure she ain't a weirdo, bro? Look at her eyes, bro. And that smile. She definitely one of them, but of course she knows what to look out for.
He'd said while laughing. I laughed too. I wasn't worried about
Shoot, you
creeps.
might be one
I can
too.
handle myself. The first few hours went by without much happening. A couple of late-night snackers, some drunken college kids rolling around laughing at the candy aisle,
Nah,
and a
why
cat
that
lady buying
eyes
beer.
so wide,
She
bro?
smelled of her cats. Around 1 a.m., the store had gone quiet. The humming fridge and the occasional click of the tilted surveillance camera reminded me of my existence from time to time. I leaned down on the register, arm tucked under my head, just for a minute. I promised myself, just a quick nap. A blast of cold air hit me in the face. I flinched, but didn't move, probably the AC kicking on. Then another gust rippled through, but this time wasn't just air. This gust carried with it a rancid refuse smell that made my nose crinkle. I opened my eyes.
Oh god!
and
Whoa,
nearly
whoa,
shrieked.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
The man's
whoa!
face hovered inches from mine, grinning ear to ear, eyes
Why do they be
wide
drawing
like he
him
was
like that, bro? He
watching
actually
something
does look scary.
hilarious unfold. I jolted back in shock. The man laughed, actually laughed, like a child who just popped out of a closet to scare his sibling. "Sorry," he said between chuckles. "Didn't know how else to wake you."
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I don't think we're going to sleep tonight. We might be up the whole day.
Annoyed by his nonsense, I rudely replied.
Could have tried calling.
He tilted his head, nodded slowly. Yeah, you're right. There was something strange about him right away. He blinked too little,
You
smiled
think it's the
for too long.
eyes, the
His
teeth,
clothes were tattered,
the outfits,
pale skin
the bloody
illuminated
bag?
by the fluorescent overheads, and a black backpack slung over one shoulder that looked very heavy. Too heavy.
You buying anything?
I said in an attempt to push the moment back to something normal. Not yet, he said, drifting into aisles as if he had all the time in the world.
Nah,
I
this
kept
would
my
definitely
eyes
scare me,
locked on him
bro.
from
Yo,
behind
the
the
night
wooden
shifts would
counter.
be weird,
Something
bro.
about him made my skin feel prickly, crawly.
Especially at a
even.
7-Eleven, bro.
He smiled
Yo,
randomly,
ain't
as
nothing
if
but
he were having a
creeps.
private conversation with himself. And that smell, horrible, rotten smell, it followed him like a dog.
It
He
says
returned 10
somebody
minutes
smells
later holding
like.
a banana milkshake and a sandwich, placed them on the counter as if he were a child showing his parent his new favorite toy. I scanned him in. Do you ever... I don't know how to say this without sounding crazy, but do you ever think that this store doesn't exist? Like, we're all part of someone else's dream, and that's why there seems to be no consideration given to anything we do. I didn't have an answer. He
Yeah,
smiled.
nah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm still asleep. still in the alley, still hearing her scream.
Whoa.
I stopped scanning. My stomach flipped.
Wait, what?
He chuckled.
Yeah,
The sandwich.
tell him to get
Smells
out.
like
Tell him to
someone
get
screamed
out.
when they made it, like they put fear in the bread. I didn't say anything. I just handed him his total. He paid with crumpled cash, his fingers brushing against mine. They were very cold.
I would've
He
have
shuffled
touched
over to
that
the corner
freaky
table
man's
and
hand.
sat down,
Oh my
facing the
gosh,
wall,
bro, no.
hunched over like a gargoyle.
No.
He dove
Tell him
into
to get
the
out.
sandwich, eating like
Get
he hadn't
out.
eaten in days.
Get out.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Okay. Get out! Get out!
I tried to concentrate on restocking gum at the counter. Not that it helped. I couldn't stop sneaking glances over at him. That's when I noticed. His backpack was on the floor next to him. The bottom of it was wet.
He
Even
definitely
though
have
it
a
was
body in that.
black, I could see
He
the
definitely have a
stain
body in
spreading outward. At first, I thought he spilled something. Then my mind blanked. Water, soda, anything. But then something inside me screamed at me. No, that's not soda. Then he caught my eye. His jaw was still moving, sandwich half gone, crumbs clinging to his shirt. His gaze was hollow, and his knuckles. My God, his knuckles were red and swollen,
Yo.
like he'd been punching concrete. Mud caked under his fingernails, dark and dry. The scent hit me once more, but this time it was stronger.
That's a
It
dead
was
body.
definitely him. It was decay, death. I thought I might retch. He was done eating and stood up slowly. He picked the backpack up as though it weighed 100 pounds. I didn't want to look at him, but I couldn't help myself. Where the bag had been on the table were bloodstains. Small, but unmistakable stains from a hand that
Yeah.
had to have been bloody. I felt my body lock into place. I couldn't move. I couldn't take a proper breath. He started for the exit now. Each step sounded in slow motion like a death march. The automated doors opened with a hiss. He stopped halfway through the doors. He turned back
Why?
again one more time. Hope she didn't keep you up, he said, voice low and strange. She wouldn't shut up all night. Then he grinned bigger and more brightly than he had earlier, and he stepped into the darkness. I stared at the doors for what
I ain't gonna lie, but I would have just been like, yo, shout out to you, gang. Hey, yo, do what you have to do, bro. As long as I live, it's not my problem. Continue. Have a nice day.
like hours, too paralyzed to move. Finally, I reached for my phone. I dialed 911 and relayed the entire story.
Yeah,
his
nah,
appearance,
buddy,
his
just mind your
backpack,
business.
the smell, the blood, the eerie comment. The woman on the phone told me to stay calm. I was anything but calm. 2 days later, I saw him pop up on the news. Arrest for murder. Woman found in an alley downtown, mutilated.
got her head.
She was a street worker from somewhere,
Where's the
bludgeoned
head?
to death, missing her head, which the
Oh.
cops found in his backpack.
Yo.
He was walking around with it for hours. They said he went into multiple stores
I was just
carrying
joking.
the
I
severed
didn't
head
think
in
he
his
actually had her
backpack,
head.
the same one that leaked onto my store floor. The next day, I quit. Since then, I haven't stepped foot in a 7-Eleven.
I don't blame her.
But sometimes, when it's late at night, and I'm in bed with the lights off, and suddenly feel a gust of wind on my face, I jump in fear, thinking it's him.
Yeah, after that story, I'm definitely not setting foot at a 7-Eleven again, but the crackheads got it. On to the next one.
Driving for 23 hours straight that night.
Man, driving
Cross
this-
country trip
a mystery
after my
machine,
mom's
bro, from
funeral.
Scooby-Doo.
Too broke for a hotel and too numb to care. My eyes burned, the road blurred. When the 7-Eleven sign appeared like some neon mirage, I nearly wept with relief.
Why do people
The parking
never
lot was
learn,
empty
bro? Never
except
go to
for a rusted
7-Eleven.
Honda. The digital clock on my dash read 12:17 a.m. As I killed the engine, something crawled up my spine. That feeling of being watched. When I pushed through the door, the fluorescent lights buzzed like angry insects. The place reeked of bleach and burnt coffee. Everything looked sickly, unreal. The cashier was a scrawny kid, barely out of high school,
The
glued
cashier
to
was
his
slow.
phone.
The cashier was
The
slow.
coffee smelled burnt,
I like that
but
creep from
I
the
needed
first
the
story.
caffeine. As I filled a cup, I felt warmth breathe. Too close to my skin, the hairs on my neck rose. I turned, and my whole body froze. A guy in a black hoodie
What's
stood
with
inches
these
away.
creepy
I couldn't see
drawings of
much of
these
his
guys,
face,
bro?
just pale skin and these wide, unblinking eyes. Too
Ugh.
wide, like they'd been stretched. You
You're
shouldn't
6
be
foot,
here
buddy.
right now,
Personal
he
space.
whispered. voice tight like he was being strangled. My chest went cold. What? He didn't repeat. His eyes flicked, fast and sharp, toward the glass door.
They're coming.
He muttered.
Leave before it's too late.
I
My
would have
skin
dipped.
prickled all over. I
Leave,
turned
bro.
to the
He's warning
cashier.
you.
The kid still hadn't moved, scrolling, dead-eyed, like he didn't hear a thing the guy had said. I
Nah,
turned
bro,
back,
just leave.
but he was gone. No footsteps, no door chime, just a trail of crisp, cold air. My heart hammered against my ribs. Who was he? And what was he trying to warn me about? I hurriedly grabbed a Snickers. Just pay and go. Simple. I was an aisle
Smart man, bro. You only gotta tell me once. I'm already out.
from the cashier when suddenly the door chimed and two men sauntered in. The first was built like a linebacker, denim jacket stretched tight across massive shoulders, hands that
Yeah,
could crush
nah,
a
he
skull.
ain't surviving this.
The second was tall and wiry with a buzzed head. They didn't grab drinks or snacks, didn't even pretend to shop.
Empty the register.
Denim jacket slapped the cashier in the face,
Oh,
and the boy's
damn.
cell phone clattered onto the counter. Instinctively, I ducked behind the chip display. Through the gaps in the shelf, I saw Buzzcut pull out a gun.
Oh,
Be a nice
oh, nah.
boy and you'll get off with just a
Oh,
black
nah,
eye.
bro.
The beeping of the register
Yeah,
was
just keep it hiding, just keep it hiding,
loud.
bro. Do not try
I
to
could
be
hear
here.
cash being shoved into pockets, the rustle of bills, the cashier's ragged breathing. My own heart pounded so hard, I was terrified they'd hear it. Keeping an eye on the counter, I started crawling toward the end of the aisle. 3 more
Why?
feet, and I'd have a straight shot to the door.
This it?
Denim jacket snarled. I was close, real close. Just a half a meter and I'd have the safety of my car. But then my fingers trembled, slick with sweat, and that damn Snickers slipped and hit the linoleum with a soft thud.
No.
Everything stopped. Even the buzzing lights seemed to go silent.
Check that. We ain't alone.
Buzzcut said.
Ain't
I
no
sprinted.
way that they
No
heard
thinking.
that, bro.
Pure animal terror burst from behind the display, lunging for the exit.
Hey!
The first shot exploded through the air. Glass shattered next to my head. The noise so loud my ears rang. The second shot tore through my left arm. At first, it just felt like someone had slammed me with a bat. But then came the pain, sharp and stinging, like somebody poured gasoline in the wound and lit a match. I hit the door with my good shoulder, stumbling into the parking lot. Keys. Where were my freaking keys? I dug
Nah, my
through
boy
my
is
pocket,
done for.
fingers slippery with blood. They fell, skidding under my car. I dropped to my knees,
Pause.
cursing, feeling under
Hey,
the
yo.
chassis. Behind me, the door chimed. I looked back to see Buzzcut in the doorway, gun pointed right at me. Just as our eyes met, my fingers closed around the keys. I scrambled up, fumbling with the lock, leaving bloody handprints on the door. I got in somehow. The engine roared to life as the third shot cracked my back window. I floored it. In the rear view, I saw him just standing there, watching me go. I drove blind with panic. 10 miles down the highway. I had to pull over. I couldn't feel my fingers anymore.
Nah, why would you pull
3
over? Where
days
you keep
slipped
on
by
going?
in the hospital. The cops showed up on the second one. I told them everything. The robbery, the panic, the man in the hoodie.
We'll try to catch the guys.
One of them said. What about the other guy, the one in the hoodie? I asked. The cop paused.
What hoodie guy, Logan? There was no one else in that store. Just you, the cashier, and the 2 perps.
Check the security footage. I snapped. He was there. He warned me. They checked, but every frame showed
Apparently,
the
my
same
man,
thing.
listen.
Me grabbing burnt coffee, ducking behind an aisle, running for my life.
Maybe your exhausted head made it up.
The cop
My
shrugged,
man had a final
and I believed
destination
him.
moment.
Till today, I try to make sense of that night, but it all seems like a drowning memory. Who do you think that guy was? Was he real or just some trigger of my brain?
I don't know, my boy, but you did not listen. My man should have left immediately. He ended up getting shot. Like and subscribe, or else a crackhead will be waiting outside the next time you guys go to 7-Eleven.
領域展開領域展開
Deuces.